Welcome back to Retro Wednesday, the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the C.O.P.S in the C.O.P.S and Crooks toy line. This is a very beautiful toy line. These figures display well on a shelf in a display. They still stand up as great looking figures 30 plus years later. These came out in 1988 by Hasbro, and we're going to discuss all the figures and the vehicles for the good guys coming up. We're going to start out talking about the leader of the group, Bulletproof, but for a quick refresher, for those of you who don't know about this line very much, these are almost within the 1/12 6-inch scale of modern day figures, and these were made in 1988, so they're 6-inch figures from 1988, maybe 5.5-inch tall, but compared to a G.I. Joe Classified and a Star Wars Black Series, that's where he scales. So Bulletproof is the leader of the C.O.P.S, and he has soft goods. This is, I think, the only figure in the line that comes with soft goods, and it's a pretty well-made overcoat. It's stitched really well. Hard to find in good condition unless you get it right off of the card. He also comes with this unique black cap-firing gun of his, and the cap-firing mechanism is right there. And he has this briefcase. When you open the briefcase, you get something inside. It looks like all kinds, like a gun and a knife and stuff. Pretty cool. Also, he's half bionic, sort of, more or less. He did get injured in a car accident with Turbo Two-Tones. Now, this figure, I'm hearing the reason that he's so rare is not just that he's sought after as the leader, because you got to have the leader in one of the Series 1 top figures, but he was short-packed. He was short-packed in the case, along with Long Arm. So let's get into Long Arm. So here's Long Arm. People like to refer to him as an old-school beat cop, and he looks great. And yeah, he'd be walking the streets. That's what it looks like. He'd just be out on patrol doing his thing. But he has a couple of cool gimmicks. First of all, he does have a removable helmet or hat, and that's pretty cool. Now, the fact that it's removable makes it easily lost. So thinking back on it, I probably would have just rather them mold it in and we not worry about losing it or find another part. But the way they do these figures, a lot of them have a lot of parts and pieces. He also has a very unique cap gun. Now, his cap firing mechanism is from the back. As we saw with Bulletproof, you pulled it from the front. He does look pretty good with the blue and the silver all there, and he's kind of blonde hair. His main gimmick, though, is his power cuffs. And this is what makes him the long arm of the law. He can use this to snatch somebody and drag them back. So that's really Long Arm in a nutshell. He was also short packed. He's also hard to get. And he comes with his nightstick. So let me get that out. Here is his nightstick, and for whatever reason it's brown, and you can put it right here on his belt. I really think this line would have been a little bit easier to collect if they had reused parts like nightsticks instead of everyone who has one of these batons or whatever. There's a different one for each character that has one, so it's kind of frustrating tracking them all down, but there he is. So next up for Series 1 is Barricade, and this is kind of an interesting figure. He doesn't come with a whole lot, really. He comes with this gigantic barricade thing. So when you pull on this trigger in the back, it kind of pushes that out like he's going to bust in the door. Ginormous, has its own little light on it. You can kind of move this piece around to simulate a siren, sort of, more or less. And it comes with a shield, and the shield is in two parts. It's a small little piece here that is held in his hand and plugs into the shield. And overall, I gotta think he's kind of a SWAT team guy, and he looks kind of boring. But he does kind of look like, with the face, like something you'd see in some sort of crazy sci-fi movie where he's coming into, I don't know, with one of those crazy outfits, because he's got a hazmat suit or something like that on. But he's a SWAT guy. He looks pretty cool. Still, overall, one of the less interesting looking characters and figures in the line. But I think that shield is really awesome. It's kind of hard to find the shield, but I think it's really cool that he's got it, and it's transparent blue. That's a lot of fun. Probably reflects the light really well. So next up on the list is Highway, and he's another one that comes with one of these different strange looking nightsticks or batons or whatever. But he's interesting looking. I actually think he's kind of cool the way he is. Obviously he's a cop. He has his helmet molded on, so you're not going to lose it. So nobody's lost their helmet to this guy yet. And he comes with this gun, and this gun is interesting. It's kind of similar to the guns that are packed in with the drivers. We're going to see that here in a little bit. But sometimes I see people showing him with two guns, so I don't know if he actually originally came with two. I looked at Men on Card, and they don't really show it to have two. I can only see one on a Men on Card. So anyway, I think one's complete. One makes it complete. I'm not sure. But still a really cool looking figure overall. But I do like the fact that he's on a blister card and comes with an actual vehicle. So he's got a little air chariot kind of thing. It's kind of a air Segway before Segways were even invented in 1988. And it comes with this bomb. Now there actually was another toy that was a cap firing mechanism kind of toy like this, where you would put the caps in it and you throw it and it would somehow make it work. I don't know exactly how this thing is supposed to work. I don't really care about the cap firing thing, but it does use the whole G.I. Joe prong method. It's the dumbbell prong method, and it plugs into the bottom here. Problem with plugging it in is he loses any and all stability, which is kind of silly, but the idea is you're going to fly over someone and drop some bombs. Yep, Highway. Oh. Next up for the Series 1 individual releases, this is Sergeant Mace, and he comes with a jetpack, which is just one giant molded piece that plugs in his back. Kind of like G.I. Joes plug in with their backpacks and stuff like that into the hole, the screw hole there. And this gigantic gun, its cap firing mechanism is right there. So this is pretty cool. It's interesting. This is a huge gun he's got, and you would think he could hold it with two hands, which it takes a little bit of work to have him hold it with two hands. But the other thing is he comes with a smaller gun. So really, some of these figures come with like 8 accessories, and some come with 3, just like this guy. And these are all pretty easy to find, which I like. Now, with these little things on the side, I thought there would be a place where it would stow, because there's like a tab here. There's like tabs everywhere on it. It looks like it would stow, but it doesn't stow. He also has a giant hand. So it's almost kind of like you would see, well, we're going to see it coming up with a dog handler, like they share this giant hand. We're going to see this guy here in a little bit, but he's also got this padding right here. He's got a hat, and it's not removable, thank goodness. And then he's got a little microphone, and thank goodness the microphone's not removable. They did that with Joe, and those are hard to find. So still, overall, he's pretty cool looking, pretty interesting guy. Seems kind of rough and gruff and tough. I don't know much about his story, but I like his jetpack. So next up on the list is Bowser and Blitz, and I'm guessing this guy's Bowser and that's Blitz. I keep getting it confused there. So this is actually the first C.O.P.S figure I ever got my hands on. It showed up in a lot, and it was the only one I had, and I thought, wow, this is actually pretty cool. These are pretty well made. These are bigger versions of G.I. Joe, and so that got me more curious. It piqued my interest into the toy line, and here we are now. So it comes with this robot dog, and it's kind of cool, kind of interesting how they have a robot dog. And it's another one of these where you have the siren on the back. You move this, and he has the siren. Now this is not removable at all, so if this is missing, or if it's separate, then it's broken off, so that's not a good thing. Comes with the gun. Now this is his gun, and it plugs into the dog also, and it actually gives the dog a 5th leg, so that's cool too. And plugging into his hand there, it's a very unique gun because of course it plugs into the dog. And there's the cap firing mechanism. Now these things do tend to, let me show this, they tend to rust. So I can clean the rust out and then put some sort of a solvent in there to keep it from rusting. But I probably should do that. But most of these don't have the rust, but that's something to watch out for. This guy does look cool. Does look like he's kind of a dog trainer. He has a canine squad. And yeah, exactly. And he's pretty cool looking, and he more or less sold me on the toy line. Next up we have Sundown, and I am having some trouble getting this guy to stand, so I'm going to hold on to him. He is back heavy with his backpack, and it's a Bola launching backpack. He does come with 2 guns, and they have the exact same design, so 2 of the exact same guns. But this guy started to make me confused because I started to question how many characters are supposed to come with 2 guns, and then you see auctions with figures that have an extra gun with it, so you start to wonder how many are like this guy, but not very many. So anyway, his hat is removable, and that's another sad thing. It does have a little star. I don't know if that's a sticker or a tamper paint, but it's on there and like a gold star. Sort of a Texas Ranger kind of guy. And he does look kind of interesting, and he has this big, giant sheriff looking badge on it. That's just pretty awesome. Now, his backpack mechanism is you pull this and then it launches. So it launches these bolas. I'm not really going to mess with it, but you put each of the balls in there. That was kind of a 90s thing, the whole bola launching thing. It was late 80s, and then it went into the 90s. I know their bola launcher was in the Waterworld toy line and all that kind of stuff. So he had the similar type backpack kind of thing. But this is a pretty cool figure. I really like him. I like how he has the 2 guns and the bolas. These things are kind of hard to find, actually. And the backpack, very simple, not much to him, but yet tracking down his hat, his bola thing, and his guns can be a challenge. So getting into what I believe are the Series 2 figures, we have TASER here, and TASER's really an interesting looking guy. First of all, he's the only person that carries this light blue. It's kind of a really light sky blue. He is bald when you take his hat off, but he does come with a removable hat. And it is the only color of this removable hat. You can almost cheat the long arm and the other one, but you can't cheat his hat because it's the only one of the kind. And then he comes with this all white shotgun, which is pretty interesting looking. Definitely kind of strange. He does have some cool silver cuffs on and a few other really interesting parts of him. And he does come with a separate belt, and underneath, without this belt, it looks like he's already wearing a belt. So that's kind of interesting. It's almost like a bat utility belt he's got going on. The big gimmick on this guy is his cap firing launcher here, and I don't think it shoots it. I think that you just pull this. Yeah, it does shoot it. Okay, well, never mind. I'm wrong. I don't play with these that much. I just display them. So anyway, it's kind of cool. It's like kind of a grapple. It's almost like another version of long arms, but there's no pulling mechanism unless I'm wrong. Can you pull on this? I don't know. I don't think you can. It's just more like a grapple. You're gonna grab the bad guy and I guess just pull it back by hand. But still, a really cool looking figure, a different color scheme, way different type of setup for a figure than I've seen. And that gun launcher thing is just so weird and so different. Next up in what I believe to be Series 2 is Inferno, and I get most of my information from Figure Realm, so I assume this guy is Figure 2. I don't really remember from back in the day what came out when, actually. But he comes with a giant axe, which is really strange, and that is the cap firing mechanism to this guy. This big old axe. That's so interesting. But there's a couple of different ways he can hold it, but I find this looks the best on the shelf. He also comes with this little gun, and it's got a built-in holster. Now, this is something we're going to get into. A few figures have built-in holsters for not only their guns, but for their baton. We're going to see that coming up. I like that. Now, this store's upside down, and it's funny because I just recently found out you're supposed to store it upside down. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, duh. So that looks really cool, the way they did that. I like that that's integrated, but it's huge. It's like a huge holster hanging off of him. He does on his chest have some hoses and stuff, but really doesn't make sense in a golden badge right there. Now his helmet is removable with a giant badge too, and with these things on the side, it almost made me think there was going to be some sort of something to maybe a face covering or something, but no, there's not. And this does have a hose connected from this to the back, and it comes disconnected very, very easily. But anyway, there it goes. There's the backpack. Kind of an interesting character, kind of a firefighter in a way, with a giant axe. I do like it. Pretty cool. I actually, to be honest, when I first saw the guy, I thought he was lame. But after messing with him for a while, I see how cool he really can be. So next on the list we have Checkpoint. Checkpoint is a very interesting character, mostly because of the fact that this figure here is the only one all in green. Kind of a military style figure. He does come with a strange, crazy brown gun of his, and you can see that he has his baton and it plugs in. He has a spot on his leg to store his baton. He does have what looks to be like like some football gear on, which is interesting. And it is removable. And his helmet is removable. And there's his head. I hear he's related to Beachhead or something like that. Maybe he's a descendant of Beachhead, which is kind of cool if they did like that. And there's the back of him. His backpack does have quite a bit of molded in detail. Would have been cool right here if he had maybe a knife, but then of course I'd have to track down that knife, which would frustrate me even more in collecting. It does say C.O.P.S right here and has his badge. So that's the only place he has his badge is on his armor. But anyway, still really cool. I think this figure, this is another one I thought was kind of lame when I first got it, but now I have some appreciation for it. Yeah, when you make a toy line, not every character is going to be awesome, but Powder Keg is awesome. This dude comes with full-on body armor and body gear. This is just crazy. It blows my mind they made this thing the way they did. Now, he does come with his shotgun, which I find it falls out real easy, so I like to have him hold it with two hands. This armor here just kind of goes over him. He does have this helmet, which is like, it's got two pieces to it. I had this piece here, and I was like, oh, this guy must not go to this toy line. And then I saw a picture of someone's that had that face shield, and I was like, oh man, it goes on that. So really, really cool that they did all this. And all this, these are removable, the feet are removable on there. But this is only the beginning. The figure itself is only the beginning because he comes with a slew of accessories. And he has this accessory holding case, which is, it's got a cap-firing mechanism in it. You get a grenade, you get dynamite, you get an extra hat, so he could, for whatever reason, just wear a baseball cap. And that is way harder to get than this shielded cap. And then he has a briefcase, which is bomb disarming briefcase. And I tracked down an extra. I actually was lucky enough to get one of these in my Rambo lot. So I just don't see why they went this far with this guy. Why not throw in a handful of grenades for the guy? Why does he only get one? Next up from Series 2, we have Airwave. Airwave is definitely a completely different figure. They had to come up with a gimmick, so what kind of gimmick? I guess they felt like they had to come up with a gimmick. I don't really think they had to have truly gimmicks with all of them, but basically when you pull the ripcord, you put it through here, and you pull the ripcord, then this comes flying off. Well, you know what? This piece easily breaks. I kind of glued it back together, but it's hard to find this piece, and to find it whole, I lucked out. So he does come with a high-tech 1988 cordless phone, cell phone. This is a sat phone, a satellite phone, and you're going to see I have an extra one, so I use it for another figure, but he also comes with this headpiece. I'm joking because nowadays this thing is super rudimentary. There's his helmet, which is, I guess, easily lost, but it's bigger than some of the other ones, so not as... He's got a cool kind of look to him. He looks really mean. Like, don't mess with Airwave. Like, he's not someone you'd want to mess with. And then he's got another, like a walkie-talkie right here, his badge. He has silver cuffs also, but integrated is his gun holster, which is outstanding. You've got a gun holster on the dude, and he's got a little snub-nosed little gun there, which looks a little bit like a turbo two-tone gun, but it's not. And it's there you go. But I like how they integrate that. This is a huge, chunky holster. Dude is pretty cool. It is really cool. The backpack itself, you can, I don't know. I never fired caps in it, so I don't really know exactly. You lift this up or something, and then you make the fire caps. Some of these cap fire mechanisms don't make sense to me. You also have like a little satellite or something right there. But yeah, there's Airwave. Pretty cool. And next up we have APES. A-P-E-S stands for some crazy acronym that's going on, but he is cool. He has some connections. Now these are extra guns I picked up along the way. So he's got this gun and this grappling mechanism, and I'm going to show you some really cool stuff about him real quick. First off, this guy's all about his gear, and here's the cap firing mechanism that's in here. Now this can be pulled out and swapped into this other gun looking piece, and this is like a grabber, like one of those grabber pieces. You can grab someone with it. It's not very effective, by the way, but it's still kind of a cool gimmick that they thought of. But I went ahead, I wanted to have the cap firing mechanism in all of them, so that was just something I was like, it looks weird having something with just big old hole in it, so I went ahead and sprung for an extra one. Now, he does have these holes in the front and in the back, and the thing about those holes is that you can put 2 more guns or whatever, or you can put 2 of the grappling things on or whatever, and get the extra accessory and just make that happen. Now, he does have these stilts, and they plug in just right on the sides there. And you can have it go either way. I think I have mine backwards, so he leans back a little bit. But on my display, that's what I want. I don't want him to fall forward. So I have him, I think I have mine backwards. I think he's supposed to be the other way. But it works for me this way, so, you know, whatever works, works, more or less. Yeah, he stands better backwards because my table kind of has a bit of a lean to it. Really a cool figure, apes, and I think he's been compared to Centurions, because the Centurions do have that mechanism where you have the holes and plug them in, and his face looks pretty interesting. He looks like a real serious dude, and his visor, and a clear visor. Well, it was clear, now it's kind of clear amber yellow. So the last figure in Series 2, I believe, is Nightstick, is what his name is. Before we get into the drivers of the vehicles, now I put him in this pursuit jet because it didn't come with a driver, and because at the time it just seemed kind of cool. I actually have a couple of these guys because it's just kind of fun to have sort of the ninja style figure in your collection. He does come with this helmet. It's kind of like a similar to a samurai type of helmet, but he's got the badge here and here. He's got ninja throwing stars, which he did not come with any. Thank goodness, because we probably would never ever be able to track him down. And he does come with a slew of other accessories that I need to get out and put on him. So here he is out of, well, his accessories are out of the package and out of the bag. But this dude is really cool. As you can see, I store these accessories in a baggie because they're easily lost. They fall off so easy, and so, not the sword so much, but and not even the nightstick, but these other pieces fall off real easy, and I just don't want to lose them or break them or stress them or anything. Which this piece here breaks very easily. It's made of that gold plastic, and I think a tip's broken off on that end, and this end might be pretty good. But this thing breaks so easy. I've seen so many of these broken, and I got a couple of broken ones myself, and kind of had to glue them back together. But it's disappointing that they break like that. He does come with this sword, which is really cool. It's kind of generic, more or less. There's a little bit of detailing on the hilt there. And then he does. We already look at his hat right there. That's cool. And this nightstick, or the club, or the baton, I think it can connect to these other pieces in here. And I really don't understand what's going on with this. Like kind of like a nunchuck kind of thing. So it looks like they all could sort of interconnect if you want them to. I don't see why you'd want them to. That's a nice little handcuff, and I was originally picked this piece up thinking it was what I needed to go with my long arm. It turns out I was completely wrong, but hey, I still needed it, so I guess I was happy after all. Still, it's a really cool figure, and he's really skinny. Like, he's way thinner than the rest of these guys, and sort of like the Dr. Bad vibes of the bunch. And it does say COP on the side of him, that's tampographed on there, and then everything from the front sort of kind of flows around to the back, and he does have a painted in sigh on the side here. So still some really cool detail in this, completely different. I don't think that they shared any of these parts with any of the other figures, including this guy who doesn't have anything from Bad Vibes on him, but really cool. Let's get into that pursuit jet. Here's the C.O.P.S and Crooks, the C.O.P.S pursuit jet. So this thing is probably one of the cheaper vehicles that are out there. I don't know if this was cheaper than the Blue Streak, or if the Blue Streak is cheaper than this. I would think they're probably the same price point back when they first came out. But I want to say it's just one giant hunk of plastic. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but it feels like maybe it's 2 hunks of plastic snapped together. You do have to assemble these when you take them out too, to a point. So with all that said, it being cheap and really not having a whole lot to it, it looks cool. It looks cool. It looks like it would also double as a boat. Like you could take it out as a boat, take it out in the air. Now with all the stickers on it, I would definitely not put this guy in the water. He does have a cap firing mechanism with this gun right here. And I do think it looks, I just think he looks good in it for whatever reason. I don't know who flew this in the show so much, but you pull that back for the cap firing mechanism. And It does have a spoiler, says C.O.P.S, and you do have the, you're going to see this on all the vehicles, the siren. So that's pretty cool. It's an interesting ship. You've got to, it's got wheels on it, so it rolls like a champ. You've got to have this vehicle, I guess, if you want to have the full run, but it's not something I'd be interested in getting like several of, like we're going to see with the Blue Streak. Next up, we have the Blue Streak vehicle, which is actually really cool. This is, no driver came with this one either, just like the other ones. So when we get to the vehicles that have drivers, we'll look at those drivers. But this is another low price point one, and you can still find it really, really cheap. Now, it has a sidecar, which is where I like to display my Bowser, because Bowser has his gun here, he can be shooting. It just seems kind of cool, and then you can have his dog running alongside, keeping up, because he's a mechanical dog, so he should run really fast. But what's really fun about this, there's a couple of gimmicks. First of all, you have this gun, it's a cap firing gun right here, and the cap mechanism is right there. And then on the back, you have the typical siren. It's got a car number 1, or not car, but number 1 cycle, and then number 2 cycle. Now, I don't know if in the show this broke off and rode on its own, but they do separate, which I'm not really going to separate them, but they connect right here, they separate right here. This is usually broken, so it's the sidecar that's broken, and a lot of times the pieces are broken off inside of the main cycle. Now that issue is real easy to overcome. Just get it out, pin them back together, and then glue them with the pinned point. But let's see what it looks like if you have a few of these. And since it's so cheap, you can have a group of them. I picked several extra ones up along the way and had quite a bit of fun with it. And it still really works well if you have just a single cycle and you just ride one cycle by itself. It holds the figure up, it stays in place, it does the job, does the trick, and it looks really good. I mean, I think that this cycle itself, just by itself as a motorcycle, even without the sidecar, looks really good. There's kind of the holes where the sidecar plugs into, and I actually thought about trying to just go after some extra cycles, but hey, most of them had the sidecar, so why not? So next on the list is Ironside with hardtop, and this vehicle is actually a little bit confusing to me when I first got it, not knowing what all was supposed to go with it and all that. But looking at hardtop, he is a pretty cool looking cop. He's very sleek with that whole black and silver look going on, and then the blue accents with the gloves and the helmet. And his helmet, he has a visor. Now this is what Silverhawk should have done back in the day, but they didn't. And when they did do it, it wasn't done very well. So this is pretty good. It's pretty close to what like you'd expect out of a Silverhawks one. So it covers it up. But I do like to expose his face in there. From the back, he looks pretty. It's just a sleek looking cool figure. I just think it looks cool. And he comes with this whole entire wrist gun. Like it covers his whole arm. Like who would have thought of that? Like this is his like Uzi or machine gun or something like that. And it's on his wrist. That is so cool. Now, getting into the actual vehicle itself, it is an armored car, more or less. It is an armored attack semi-tank. Does come with this double-barreled gun up top. Shoots like that. Still, it's really cool that it did that. It's cool that they have this gun, and I'll show you why that's cool here in a second. It does have the siren. You can turn this, and you get the little light for the siren, whatever. And what got me was trying to figure out if one of these was complete or not. When you open it up, inside we got a few things going on. We got the seatbelt, you got the driver. I just don't feel like taking that one out, so I showed another one. But you have this whole apparatus here, and it is the cap firing mechanism. So it's got 2 cap firing mechanisms. And I think as we go on, we see multiple cap firing mechanisms in these cars, but it's interesting because I don't open this up and do much with it ever. I just leave it closed. The coolest part about it is if you have a figure, you can put another figure on here with these peg holes, and he can operate the gun. So, and when I say they had female characters they never made. I would have liked to have seen them, but anyway, here he is with his operating the gun. That's kind of cool. I always display, that's where I display MACE, but yeah, Sergeant MACE usually rides on the back of that thing. Next up is, I guess, a mid-level size vehicle, and it is kind of a cheaply made vehicle. It's cheap, but it looks so cool that I forgive it. I forgive the negatives on this because it looks so awesome. What an awesome looking sports car, futuristic looking sports car. Has a couple of cool features. Well, he has a steering wheel that's not really steering, and I'm not sure why, but they made holes here and then they filled them in with kind of a gold plastic fender kind of thing. And we have this double gun up top that you can shoot. It has the light on it, and there it goes. And then looking around to the back, you have this interesting looking back. You can see the sticker, which by the way, the stickers really do make these things pop. If it's missing stickers, it's not quite as much fun. You can fold this down to cover the rear, the spoiler, if that's something that you want. And we have cap firing mechanism, which I don't know what's up with this kind of like flag flap thing going on. But the spoiler up looks cool. It looks way better with the spoiler up. I do like this vehicle. I think it is one of the cooler vehicles out there. Now, he doesn't come with this phone. That's Airwave's phone. I got extra Airwave phone. But he does come with this gun, which I got to tell you is ridiculously hard to track down. Of late, there's more of that have been popping up, so it was so much easier. It's one of the things I was waiting for to make this video to get this gun. So now I've got two because, of course, I have two vehicles and two drivers, and I want them both to be complete. So here is Roadblock, so I don't have to pull him out of the vehicle and keep him in his really cool pose there. But he has sunglasses on, kind of a blonde hair. He's wearing a white overcoat that has his badge on it. He does come with a... So this holster is a rubber holster, and it's kind of an additional thing, which I probably went a whole year not even knowing that this thing existed. And I was like, what? He needs a holster? What? He needs a gun? Huh, crazy. Anyway, it does look pretty cool. He does have, on his lower legs, he has sort of just some white boots, but then he's got shoes, so I don't know, it's kind of cool. Looks like something like football players would wear or something like that. But this is an interesting looking guy, drives an awesome looking vehicle. Next up we have the ATAC. This is the Attack. This is, I believe, a Wave 2 vehicle, one of the last vehicles made, which makes it a little bit harder to get your hands on this guy and get your hands on him complete, or since it's a car, this gal, she is a beaut. At first, I thought it was just a big old chunk of plastic and not much to it, but there's quite a bit to it. Quite a bit more than I thought there was at first. Now, the gun on top does what guns do. They have that cap fire mechanism, and I think I have this on here wrong. I do have this on here wrong, but there's this. That's on backwards, so little did I know when I got it. Coming around to the back, you can store stuff in here, which you know what, I probably should start storing stuff in here. And paddy wagon, it is the paddy wagon. Now my stickers were misplaced, so I used the hair dryer method to pull them off. These really suck for taking off, and I haven't put them back on yet, all of them yet. So it's a lot of tedious work to get these stickers on and to hold and to not make them look shredded. I did reposition this one and tore. So the stickers are so hard to handle. They're probably the worst stickers ever made when it comes to fragility. But moving on to more features with this vehicle, I didn't get this sticker stuck back down right. It was positioned wrong. So many issues with the stickers on this thing. Now, I will have to pop this up. When you open this up, you can see the figure inside. Now we're going to take a closer look at him outside. And he has, I think, the correct helmet on, where it's smooth, and then you got a bunch of lines in the one that goes to the long arm. So they're different helmets, and he's got his gun here and all that good stuff. But on the inside, you can see in here, he has a cap firing mechanism. So you put the caps in here, and then you push this in, and this button is going to trigger the cap fire mechanism. Now, this, I think, is supposed to simulate an explosion, or it's supposed to be a ramming feature. Either way, it looks more like a simulated explosion than it does a ramming feature. But you won't be able to put this white grill piece back on, and it won't hold for very long. Well, maybe it will. But everything on camera is different than when the camera's not rolling. But still, it's kind of cool. There's two cap firing features in this, and it's huge. It holds a lot. Here's the figure. Now, the figure is called Heavyweight. Heavyweight is, it's an interesting looking police officer with a removable helmet. Now I think I have a long arm helmet on this guy because I had an extra long arm helmet, and I wanted to have I want my drivers displayed outside of their vehicles along with knowing they're inside. Him holding his gun is just crazy. Like, it's hard to get him to hold it straight, but you can, on a good day, get his gun to hold straight, or it can do that. Anyway, he has these gold accents, like a built-in gun right there, which doesn't remove, and then over here also, and he has a stripe on the side. Really a cool looking figure. Because he comes with a Series 2 vehicle that's hard to track down, he is hard to track down. And for the crown jewel of the toy line, the pinnacle of Cops and Crooks, the absolute coolest thing that they made that left an impression on me for 3 decades, is this air raid helicopter. Not only I didn't have this, I sort of wanted it, but the biggest thing was I didn't understand it. Like, I had no clue how this thing operated or how it worked. Let's take a quick look real quick at Bullseye, and he does come with a removable helmet, which is easily lost and harder to track down. And there's his head. He does kind of have a bit of a resemblance, in my opinion, to the mold on the Airwave figure. And he just looks like, well, you could say that does look like he could be a pilot. A futuristic pilot, in a way. So, pretty cool looking figure, pretty cool looking pilot. Now, you get into the vehicle itself, and the big thing is it has these 2 different colored cockpits. The canopies, and they open sideways, and so to get the figure in and out, and it's the whole canopy collapses over the whole vehicle. It's not like anything I've seen, and I don't think I've seen anything like it since. It's such an interesting, unique design. You got a double barrel gun on the front here. You've got the intake for the engine for the helicopter area. Now, the propellers spin freely one way, and then when you go back the other way, you pop the caps. So that's how that mechanism works. You do have all kinds of good stickers on the side here, all the way down the back. And then you do have these thrusters in the back, which they are really cool. And from the bottom, you have another gun on the bottom, right there, and stickers and stuff. And then you have the siren, the quintessential siren piece that happens to all of it. But this is my favorite part of the Cops and Crooks toy line. It's what got me deeper and deeper into it. The Blitz, and that got me into thinking, hey, this is a cool toy line. But when I remembered this helicopter, I thought, you know what, I gotta go after it, because this helicopter is so cool. The toy line is actually cool. I'd like to have a display on the shelf. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Cops from the Cops and Crooks toy line from 1988 Hasbro. This is still a pretty simple toy line to collect. There's a lot of the stuff out there. Some of the parts and pieces for some of the figures are harder to get. Some of the figures are harder to get than others, but still a relatively simple toy line to collect and mostly readily available. Hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. Tadarium Hanger out.